All right, Benzino. How's it going?
What's good, bro?
Good to have you.
Man, it's good to be here, man. You've been doing your thing.
Thank you. Thank you, man. You too, man.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'd like to start off with some of the biggest news in hip-hop, which I'm sure you've seen. Everybody's been talking about it. You know, 6ix9ine gets beat up really bad in Miami at an LA fitness.
It was in West Palm Beach.
Oh, Palm Beach, my
Yeah,
bad.
difference. It's a difference.
Oh, okay.
You know, only because you would figure like, damn, that just shows you, man, you could be found anywhere. See, when I seen that and I heard West Palm Beach, I'm like, that just shows you. You know, he probably thought he was safe as a motherfucker in a LA Fitness in West Palm Beach in a sauna or a jacuzzi, and look what happened. You know, to me, and how I brought up and where I came from, that was so big to me because, you know, you got a whole generation of people right now, of young people who kind of think that telling on somebody and, you know, is acceptable. And it's not. You know, telling on people, snitching, ratting, it's never been acceptable. It's really only been acceptable lately, you know, as far as culturally. And when that happened, I just was like, damn, that's so big. That sends such a big message to show that shit that he was doing, everybody knew what he did wasn't right. So, you know, he finally paid the consequences for it.
Were you surprised at all?
No, hell no. No, I mean, and really he shouldn't have. You know, he shouldn't have been surprised. I mean, you know, the law of the universe works. You know, it's one thing, let's say 6ix9ine was just an innocent type of civilian, type of good kid, and guys were around him taking advantage of him, but he didn't have nothing to do to what the guys around him was doing, you know. Then maybe it might be a little different. But when you're the main guy running, you know, the face running the mouth and always instigating and always causing trouble and always being disrespectful, then he deserved that. Then he deserves that. Because if you're out there participating in crimes or participating in things that have consequences, it's not fair that you get to walk and the guys you was with go to jail. That's not how it go. You know what I'm saying? That's not how it goes. And you know, the streets, when people say the streets, you kind of take it for granted, but that's all we had coming up was the streets. When it comes to black people, Latino people, that's all we had was the streets. So we had to have a certain code and the way we move to be respected. You know, the shit that's happening now was such a slap in so many niggas' faces, you know, around the world, as far as I'm concerned. Anybody who really grew up in the streets and kept it 100, that was such a, you know, it was horrible. And finally, you know what I'm saying, finally, to me, we got some order again. You know, to let known, listen, you know what I'm saying, it ain't sweet out here. You know what I mean? It ain't sweet, and that message needs to go to these young kids. Look, move better. You know what I'm saying? You gotta move better. You know, he's running around and making it seem like, look, I snitched and I did all this thing and I got money, so maybe there's a young kid sitting back there thinking, hell, I can go snitch on my guys and get a bunch of money and nothing's gonna happen to me and I'll be a big star. And that's just the wrong message. So what happened to him, I really wanna salute the guys that handled their business, man, for real. Salute to them.
Boosie wants to start a GoFundMe for him to help him out in case he gets busted.
That's a hell of an idea. I would support that. You're fucking right. I mean, you know, you gotta figure if he took down a whole organization, then you know these guys is just a matter of time unless they, you know, other than that, I mean, come on, think about it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, like I think, you know, I think that's a good idea what Boosie said. You know what I'm saying?
You know, a lot of people were celebrating when they seen the pictures and they seen the videos and everything of him. And then you would have some people that were like mad that everybody was celebrating. And I couldn't help but to think like, you guys must have forgot all the shit. I mean, aside just the snitching part, like, you know, he's been dissing cities and going to O Block and disrespecting dead people and, you know, just doing the most for a really long time.
The people who are upset, them people don't understand the streets. And that's all. You know, and it's no disrespect to them because not everybody grew up in that life, but a big majority of us have. You know, it's not like just like a certain group, but a major majority of Black and Latino people, that's where we grew up, how we grew up, you know, who we are, how we are. And, you know, they just don't understand that. And they don't understand violence. And I understand that. Like, I get that, you know. But I got 4 kids. I got 3 boys. You know, like my oldest son, Ray, he 29, but, you know, he don't even got a felony. And he knows how to move. He knows how to give respect to get respect. You know, this 6ix9ine kid been disrespectful since he got in it. He used the muscle that he had to build his reputation up and then put all them away in jail. They got families. Put all them in jail and then still came out here and still laughed in their face and flaunting it and still causing trouble. He deserved that, and he's lucky he got to get up and walk away. You know, he's somewhere sipping his dinner out of a straw right now, but he's lucky at least he's having dinner. Because, you know, again, we go back in the day, you know, the code was from my dad, if somebody rats, then, you know, chances are you ain't gonna see him around anymore. Because again, these are people that have participated in whatever they participated in, and then all of a sudden they can't handle the consequences, so they wanna throw everybody else under the bus, and they get years and years in jail, and they're out here. Nah, it don't work like that. It don't fucking work like that. And homie got what he deserved. Like I said, salute to those 2 guys. You know their names?
I don't.
Nobody knows their names. It's good that, I guess it's good that we don't, you know? But salute to them.
Hopefully we don't.
Salute to them.
You know, for sure, for sure. Okay, I think you had a situation you wanted to address.
Well, yeah, I mean, so, you know, I had got shot some years back, like 6 years back or 7 years back or something. I don't remember. But, you know, there was a discrepancy about what happened with that. You know, did my nephew go to jail? Well, first, I just want to walk you through what happened. So, I was filming Love and Hip Hop, and I had went to Boston because my mom had passed. There was some issues over some monies and everything that my sister, my nephew, just in-house shit, you know what I'm saying? In-house, family shit. And I went up there and there was tension, okay? So I just went, I said, look, I'm gonna go to the wake by myself, and I'm not even gonna go to the funeral because I don't even want this foolishness around my mother's situation because, you know, my mother was staying with them in Boston. You know, they was the one taking care of her, or so-called take care of her. Now, this is my older sister. So I ended up going to the wake by myself early, with nobody there, have spent time with my mother. Then I was gonna get back on a flight. Stevie had flew down and tried to surprise me. Stevie J had surprised me and ended up in Plymouth where the church was holding the service for my mother, okay? And where she was gonna be buried. That's about a good 45 minutes away from Boston. It's in Cape Cod, you know. I don't know if you're familiar, but that's like towards the water and everything. So, you know, my mother's Cape Verdean, so a lot of Cape Verdeans come from the Cape Cod area of Boston, you know, different Plymouth, Carver, New Bedford, you know, Falmouth, different places. But long story short, I was actually going to pick Stevie up to get, you know, because he didn't know where he was. He just got off the airport and then took a Uber or a cab straight to the funeral site way out there, and he was gonna surprise me. So I said, look, I'm not going to that, but I'm gonna come pick you up. And I was explaining it to him. I said, I'll tell you why when I get there. So I was coming to pick him up, and then he was gonna be at some cafe not too far from the church. And then when I was going, I noticed that there was a funeral procession. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, damn, first thing came to my mind, like, could this be my mother's funeral procession? I was like, well, this is a hell of a coincidence. And, this is what ended up happening. And then I'm gonna go back. When he shot me, right, okay? When he shot me, he called police immediately because he had licenses he never even had a felony. He wasn't, my nephew wasn't the street guy. He had 3 guns and he was unloading them. You know what I'm saying? I got hit 3 times inside the car. So I'm trying to so when I'm driving on the highway, I fishtail and I'm coming against the traffic. You know what I'm saying? And then I finally pulled over, jumped out to where the hearse was of my mother's car. My mother's hearse. There was 2 hearses. I'm assuming one of them had the coffin. So I just remember running towards the hearse, and I just remember a finger locking the door. So he was still shooting, and I'm linking the shit, you know what I'm saying? I just knew I didn't get hit in my chest, so I knew I still had my strength to either get away or do whatever I had to do. So when he called police, he called and said that I had a gun. He said that I just shot a man, he had a gun, he brandished a weapon, he had a gun, and so I don't know what I was thinking, but I ran to the hearse and I just seen because it had the old school locks, a finger. Then I ran, the cars were in line, so it was all my family. So 2 of my Auntie Geneva's daughters was there, my cousins, and I just remember jumping in the back and I kept saying, look, you gotta go over the medium. This is a 2-lane highway, but it's a main highway. It's one of the main, Route 3, it's the only thousands and thousands of cars, hundreds of thousands of cars, So broad daylight, Sunday afternoon, so I said, look, you gotta drive across the medium to go to the other side because the exits on that highway are far apart. So I'm leaking blood, getting a little dizzy. I jump in the back, I'm bleeding out, they're screaming. They finally, first, they didn't know what to do. God bless them, they were scared. So they finally went over and they try to drive me and we come to the exit. The police come, all these cars, before ambulance, pull me out the car. Now it's raining a little bit. They strip me butt naked, dick out, butt naked, and because they said I had a gun. Now in Boston, I've been a wanted guy a long time. They've been wanting me for a while there. So this was their chance, they figured. So then when the fire department came, it wasn't an ambulance, it was the red fire kind of like rescue truck. They put me in there, they're still doing ballistic tests on my fingers. Like they rubbed that thing to see if you had a gun. So I didn't have no gun. And so now, I ended up going to the hospital, whatever. I remember Mona and them still wanted to film. So I said, yeah, I had hookups in Boston, my town. I had hookup with the hospital, Quincy Hospital. They came and filmed. So we filming it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's part of my reality, so we filming it. Everybody and their mama knows that my nephew shot me because, again, he called and said he shot me, all right? Time goes by, I ended up going to Boston one time because I had to walk through or something, and they said that they want me to come in and testify against them. And I said, well, I'm not doing that. They said, well, if you don't, we're gonna give you 90 days for contempt of court, 6 months, 90 days. I said, for what? I said, okay, well, no problem. So I went to the grand jury. I said, yeah, I was driving and gunshots, I got shot. I don't know who shot me. It was crazy. I just remembered running, gunshots, and I was trying to, of course I didn't see nobody. That was it. They brought me in court with him there, okay? He's sitting in court. Do you see anybody that shot you? No, not at all. Went home. Now, he ended up, from my understanding, getting 18 months because there was another 3 or 4 people. These are different people. I don't even know who they was because the cars, they had to stop traffic, who watched him shooting. So, of course, he got witnesses. Nobody that had anything to do with me. No, these are white people that are saying that. So his bullets hit a couple of cars on the way or whatever. So he ended up doing 18 months. You know what I'm saying? But this is probably the first case now that you could think of that somebody shoots somebody, they say that they shot him, but the person they shot says, no, he didn't shoot me. And that's what happened. So now I think my nephew's running around with fake paperwork or because I couldn't get it was a while I couldn't get the paperwork. I finally got in touch with the court stenographer. She retired, and I had to pay $1 per page. I get the paperwork this week. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud. I get the paperwork where he called 911, and then I get the paperwork saying that, no, I don't know who shot me, and then I'm gonna put that out there. Because, you got a few of these guys out there, trying to get content, but I needed this paperwork anyways. It was hard to get, but I finally got it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm happy about that.
All right. Well, shit, man. How long did it take you to recover after being shot?
It was nothing. I still got the bullets in me and shit. It didn't take too long. It wasn't too long. It took me a while to get my strength back, because I didn't have no strength in my arm. I lost all motion, but I ended up, going to rehabilitation, man. That's when I hit the gym hard. Started hitting the gym, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm stronger than I was ever. And that was my nephew, you understand what I'm saying? That was my first nephew. Everything, you know what I'm saying? When I had the sauce, everything I give to him, everything, everything. First, help him try to get thousands of dollars. He wanted to be a DJ. I mean, just, he was my first nephew. I had 2 older sisters that were on my mother's side, not on my father's side. We had the same mothers. But, some family shit happened, and that's what happened, So, crazy story, but when I tell my story, that's gonna be a major part of it, you know what I'm saying? Because that was a crazy day. I had to do some MacGyver shit, you know what I'm saying? But I've been through shootouts. That wasn't the first time I've been shot, and I've been through a whole bunch of shit. So to me, it was crazy if you look on the outside looking in, and especially the circumstances. But, when you in the street, man, I've been going through that shit with police, with different blocks all my life.
All right, for sure, man. Well,
but Zeno don't snitch, baby. 57 years on this earth. Yeah, fuck that. No statements, none. No statements on nobody's shit.
That's what it is. Recently, XXXtentacion was convicted in New York. He was convicted for killing the dude, but he was found guilty of manslaughter in the first degree and 2 counts of assault in the second degree. What'd you think about that whole trial and case and everything?
That's an unfortunate situation. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunate situation. You know what I'm saying? Troy Ave taking the stand, unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? Gunna giving statements, unfortunate. These are all unfortunate things. And the way the government works is they put you in position to where is that it may seem like you're not snitching, because you're trying to save yourself. But that's how they work their chessboard, to make it seem like that. But ultimately, anytime you give anybody any statement that's gonna help your time out, then you're giving statements to hurt somebody else. Therefore, that's considered snitching. And I just don't condone it. People who I don't know, I don't know 6ix9ine, I don't know Troy Ave, I don't know Gunna, you know what I'm saying? So, me being affected by what they do, I'm not. But me from the streets and knowing the code and everything, I just feel for everybody that's getting the shorts. I feel for Thug, I feel for XXXtentacion, you know what I'm saying? I felt for Shotty and all them, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I understand these situations with, these cases in court and all the time and all the fucked up shit that comes from it. And, it just boils down to it's just not fair. It's not fair. You know what I mean? If you out there doing shit with everybody, then you're supposed to get as much time as everybody else. Take your time, come home with your head up. You know what I'm saying? But motherfuckers are going out bad, man,
Well, do you think Gunna will have a career?
Yeah, because there's a bunch of people out here who don't live that life, who would do the same thing in a heartbeat. Shit. You know what I'm saying? Now, I want to talk about the T.I. situation. T.I.'s situation, you put any of these niggas who are talking shit about Tip in that same situation, and if their ass don't do the same thing, then that's their dumb ass fault. That ain't the first time that happened, where something happened, somebody got killed, and the person who got killed ended up taking the charge. That's the smartest thing that you could ever do. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't you do that? So in Tip's situation, I understand Tip's situation. That particular situation, oh yeah, see, the game is you against the system. That's the game. So any type of thing that you can do other than throwing a person that's out here under the bus, but a person that's dead, that's your man, that's just strategy. That's just intelligence and being smart. That's not snitching on somebody. That's using what you got to your advantage. If your partner got into something and he died, and if the court's able to put the charges on him and you walk, who the fuck wouldn't do that? So, you know, a lot of times people on these, you know, people say shit just to get clicks, comments, and shit. And, you know, a lot of these motherfucking commenters out here and people out here are bozos anyways. So, like I said, you know, there's a whole group of people who will never understand the streets, who will never accept the streets, and they'll still go, shit, you see 6ix9ine was still getting, and he's still gonna get money. But you see he's paying for it, though. You see he's paying for it. Not all money, good money.
Do you think a lot of guys like Gunna and, you know, and other dudes are gonna have, you know, like now they're probably like watching their back a little extra now?
Man, you better. Shit, if you ratting on somebody, you gotta watch your back. I mean, you better. To me, 6ix9ine was the only fool that really took this, well, I don't know who else is thinking like that, but you're a fool if you're gonna come out here. See, usually, back in the day, when the feds, and you've watched all the movies, they're gonna stick a nigga down in fucking Phoenix, Arizona somewhere in Arizona, you would never see him again. These motherfuckers nowadays is running around here like it's, shit, I'm a star. Being a snitch is, I'm a celebrity now from being a snitch. So this is a whole new time. So what happened to him had to happen so it can put the thought in niggas' heads like, okay, you know, since you want to go ruin some lives, this might happen to you. So is it worth it? So I'm sure everybody that snitched on somebody has to be thinking of that. And even just, these are just celebrities. There's so many niggas that have snitched on niggas just on the blocks. Man, God bless all the niggas doing time right now from they man snitching on them. God bless these dudes because that's horrible. That shit is just fucked up. There's no excuse.
Were you surprised that a lot of people called T.I. a snitch for putting the gun on his cousin, his dead cousin?
No, I'm not surprised because Tip took the stand. And a lot of people don't know the law. A lot of people don't know the streets. And people, you know what I'm saying, didn't understand it. It took me more understanding, you know. I think with me, I think the commercials was really a bad look, right? But you know, as far as when he got caught with all them guns at BET and everything, but you know, he did go do time. He did give him a year in the feds or whatever. I don't know what type of deal that came from or however, but I can't speak on that. You know, I can't speak on the next man's case. I could just know from what he explained on the situation with the body in Ohio, then to me, that just makes, you know, anybody in that position, including myself, would have did the same thing. Like, if me and my partner's out and we doing shit, my partner gets killed, and there's a way to flip the charges on my partner, then my partner's in heaven right now smiling, like, yeah, my nigga, you out. In heaven or hell.
I hear you. Recently, Billboard came out with their top MC list. And I think you had some things to say about it.
I think anything, again, this is who we are as a culture now. We're just a competitive culture. We always have to find the top, the best. Why can't we all just get money and just enjoy each other? Like what? Like we've been through so much. Why does somebody always gotta be the fucking best? My thing is, music is about catalog and sharing your creativity to the masses, and hopefully people like your shit. And there is no top 10. You know what I'm saying? You can't make a top 10. You can do your own list of who you like because you're an individual, and that's what's gonna set you apart from the other 8 billion motherfuckers on here. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have great songs. Somebody might have one song. There's some people, like, I'll go in the gym and listen to that song the whole hour and a half. And that might be the only song that they even have. But that song touches me forever, for years and years. You might have people who have more songs than that are dope. It doesn't take anything from them. What's the criteria of a top 10 MC? How can you put Hove in front of Scarface, or Pac in front of Biggie, or Biggie in front of Hove? How can you do that? They're all dope. We don't have to have a top 10. White people don't do that shit. Who's the top 10 greatest rock singer? Who's the top 10? It's just that it's us, man. We just so wrapped up on competing with each other, and, you know, so we can have conversation. What we got to do as a people is figure out other type of conversation. It's like we run out of conversation, so now we got to debate all fucking day. We just like to debate on who. It's different with sports. Sports is, you know, you could do that with sports, because sports is you know, it's different. You know what I'm saying? Sports is about numbers, you know. But you can't do that with hip hop, man. Because if you did, Eminem sold more than anybody. Is he the greatest of all time? That's what they want you to think. But that's bullshit. A motherfucker couldn't have to sell 5 records and he got a dope-ass song, Cam, and gave it to you just to check out. And that song could have touched you in ways that no song has. There is no top 10. Surely not coming from Billboard. What the fuck do they know? You know what I'm saying? Who wrote that? Who's this guy? How come he don't come out and talk about it? These guys that write these lists, come out and talk about it so we can see what type of guy you are and what type of life you're living. Then we can go like, oh, man, get the fuck out of here. I wouldn't even listen to anything that just by the looks of him, I wouldn't even listen to anything he's listening to. So I take that shit for a grain of salt, man. There ain't no, you know, hip hop help Black and Latinos eat, man, and families eat and progress in life, bro. And people make good music, man. There's so many amazing artists from back in the day. How can you make a list, top 10 great artists, and just forget all the artists that came before you? Like, that shit is so stupid. Just love the people making the music, love our culture, support our culture, and it's a culture. It's a culturally thing. Let's get the culture back right. Let's not fucking worry about who's top 10 rap list. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not. Shit. I listen to everybody.
Yeah, a lot of people were mad about it. You know, and I think it kind of like what you said. A lot of people didn't really respect that it was Billboard. You know, it kind of didn't.
It wasn't the Source magazine, baby.
Yeah, they were. You know, I think it would have been better if, like, you know, a more hip hop centered magazine or publication or something came out with their list. It would have been more credible. But, you know, I mean, all those rappers that are on the top 10, they're all gonna feel like that they should be number one. You know, I think even Lil Wayne came out and, you know, he was mad that he felt like he should have been number one. But I mean, there's
nothing the matter with that. There's nothing the matter with an artist feeling he's number one. That's dope. But as far as a list, there's so many rappers that have amazing music. It's not a list. It's just a list of amazing melanated people doing their thing, making amazing music. You know what I'm saying? Let's just celebrate them. And let's stop being mad about a fucking list. Nowadays, people just want to be mad. People just want to find things to be mad about. They're not happy unless they're mad. People ain't happy unless they're mad. It's crazy.
Real shit. Not too long ago, recently, actually, XXXtentacion's alleged killers were convicted.
Yeah.
I believe all 3 of them. And, you know, I'm sure they're looking at a lot of time, man.
Yeah, they got man, listen, Florida got the death penalty, right?
Yes. Was that a death penalty case, though?
I don't know. I'm just saying, either. Florida don't play when it comes to sentencing, man. They don't play. They don't fuck around.
No, they don't, man.
That again, we gotta fix our culture, bro. That shit's happening so much. It's so much that it's, you know, we've fallen off a cliff so bad, man. And you know, that's just the one of the results of how of how chaotic our culture is right now and how the state of chaos we're in right now. Like, that's just horrible that a young man can finally make it out of his situation, and then for a senseless ass that shit was like whack. Like same thing with Pop Smoke, and it's just and P&B Rock, and we go on and on and on. It's just a bunch of senseless shit. You know what I'm saying? Like these dudes are losing their lives. Talented, young black men who ain't came from nothing. So, then what I'm saying, when you get then now you got three more guys that are going to jail that their lives are gone. It's just a horrible cycle.
So yes, if they're convicted, which they were convicted, they're all facing mandatory life sentences, and they didn't seek the death penalty in this case.
Okay,
so
they're lucky.
Yeah, it's definitely sad, man. Like the P&B Rock, Pop Smoke. I mean, man, these guys were talented. Pop Smoke was like, he was like on his way to be a superstar, man. Like XXXtentacion was
all
like
of them. They all. I mean, at the time of their death, they was really, really, really active, and in full motion, man. And like I said, we're at a time where like the hip hop is just at a real low vibration when it comes to the music, and the energy that's given off is so powerful that a lot of these people don't understand and don't really understand the power of the energy. I mean, look at the John Morant situation. That you got a kid that's growing up in private homes and still with his dad, two-parent family, and that situation was because of hip hop, the energy of hip hop. If the energy of hip hop can do that to him, then imagine what it's doing to these kids who got nothing in the projects. You got to understand. It's and I hate trying to sound hypocritical, but it really is. I think hip hop right now, and I think the way hip hop is trying to word it right. Because I'm not trying to sound like a hypocrite, but you got necessary hypocrisy out here. Like hip hop right now is steering this generation in a wrong way, and that with the internet is just vibrations and energy is really a lot for a lot of these kids to handle, and just growing up. And the emotions and insecurities of a teenager and just trying to figure things out. It's just in the pressure. You figure peer pressure back in the day was, go ahead, man, go ahead, smoke that cigarette. Now, just imagine millions of people looking at you to do something, and, somebody might have called you a name and you're so embarrassed because everybody's taping you, and then that's what's making you go have to kill somebody. Like, it's just right now, I don't think that we was ready for the internet in this form of hip hop. The low vibration of the 808, and I love music and I love all the music. I just think that the energy from it is something that we're finding out that we can't handle. I think the younger generation is suffering from it. Making money, which is always dope, but I think on the masses, and even like the young girls, that song Shibuya is a dope song and everything, but they playing that on all the major stations like at 1, 2 in the morning. I'm like, they're saying the most, eat my ass and saying all this shit. And it's like, young girls are listening to this on major radio. Like the FCC's not even giving a fuck. Like back in the day when NWA came out, there was marches in Washington to say, hey, look, this is bad stuff. And then the other side is, hey, it's free speech. I don't think we knew that it was going to come to this. And I don't know if, having that type of music being played in the daytime on the radio constantly over and over and over and over and over with messages of kill, eat my ass, eat my pussy, and shoot my man. I don't know if that's, I think that when you listen to it enough, along with the low vibration of the music, of the 808, I think it does something to somebody that we don't even know what's happening. And I just don't think it's good.
Well, speaking of low vibration, XXXtentacion's alleged killers blew a kiss at his family. Did you see that?
Disrespectful. But you gotta
Yeah.
understand, man, he's a young guy. He just got life. I'm sure he's confused as hell at that point. And I'm not making excuses for nothing. I just need people to go deeper. This is a young kid. He's young. He doesn't know what he's doing right now. I'm sure he's still in shock. Yeah, he blew a kiss and it was disrespectful, but again, imagine getting life at that age. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to know what to do at that point. You know what I'm saying? So I don't look at that, man. He's got his punishment. He has to go serve his time, and to me, that's enough, man. That kiss and everything is a small thing compared to what he's getting ready to go through.
You mentioned John Morant. Man, what do you think when you see him getting in all that trouble, man? You know, I believe he has a contract of like 200 million.
Hip hop. You know, Ja like turned up, jewels, and he all that money and naked women and bad bitches all around him, and he's, you know what I'm saying? Again, it's that adrenaline. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's that adrenaline. It's that I'm watching videos, and that's where all the chicks are going. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching all this shit, and he wants to be that. And that's, and unfortunately, that's the influence right now. That's the influential energy that is going around right now is what got into Ja. It's what's getting into all these kids.
Yeah, I mean, there's videos of him. He looks like he's throwing up Crip. I was like, damn.
He's excited. And when you listen to that music, it makes you, I know about that. I've made that music all my life. I know about it, and that's what he's feeling. That's that adrenaline. That's that feeling. And he got the $200 million contract. So, you know what I'm saying? You have to control that. If you don't control that inner beast that comes out from energy like that, then you're only going to get yourself in trouble. There's only going to be bad consequences.
Now, some people were defending him, and some people were saying, he got what he deserved. You know what I'm saying?
He made a mistake. I mean, you're gonna make mistakes when you're young, okay? And if people said he got what he deserved, then I mean that was very minimal. So, I mean, shit, that wasn't too much. A couple of weeks he ain't playing. Shit, he back. I watched him the other night dunking on somebody. He's the most excited player in the NBA right now. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if this was a lesson for him. Hopefully it was, because there's a lot of kids, man. We need more positive kids, and I'm gonna say this: we need better role models, because if not, it's just gonna keep turning these young ones into animals. It's just gonna be a vicious cycle.
I hear that, man. All right, I thought I'd take it back a little bit, man, and kind of go over some old school stuff.
50 years of hip hop, why not, baby? Shit.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Some of you might have touched on some of it. Some of you might have not have. But you're known for being co-owner of the Source. How did you get involved with the Source, and how did all that come about?
I mean, I've told it a million times, but you know what I'm saying. Dave Mays, I was in Boston. You know what I'm saying. I was in the streets in Boston. I had a group called the RSO, and I was heavily involved in street activity out there. And Dave Mays was going to Harvard University, a major, university in Massachusetts, in Boston. Well, it's actually in Cambridge. So we ended up meeting. We forged a friendship. Him and 3 other guys put their money together and put out a one-page newsletter called The Source. I helped Dave get advertised and brought him to the hood, to different record stores and everything. And then we ended up being real super, cool friends. And he eventually bought the 3 guys out. I think it started in '88. He bought the guys out in '94, made me a 50% partner with him. And then from there, man, we accomplished some of the greatest things in hip hop. And 18 years at the Source Awards, and all the stuff that we done over there, and the ups and downs, and I mean, it was a hell of a ride, But you know, people don't realize that the source, without the source, a lot of shit would be different right now when it comes to hip hop. I don't know what that would be, but it wouldn't be the same for a lot of artists. And I just think it just would have been different, you know. You know, we was the internet before the internet when it comes to hip hop.
Is there any albums that you wish would have got the 5 mics that didn't get it? Like, how many of those do you have?
There's only, I think, like 4 or 5, I think, maybe. But I mean, the one album that should have got it was The Chronic. I always remembered that. And I think the Fugees definitely should have got it. Should have got 5 mics. Like, those albums were, to this day, super amazing. You know,
Classics.
I mean, you know, giving albums ratings, it's all opinionated. Again, I go back to the 8 billion people on the globe and how everybody wants to follow trends and be a follower and be a part of the group. But what makes us individual, Cam, out of 8 billion people, is our ability to pick the music we like, the clothes we want to wear, the food we want to. You know, we don't have to do everything that everybody says or everybody, you know, when it comes to music, you know, I recommend that you don't listen to nobody. Listen to music yourself and then you make the determination as an individual. You know, I think people really put too much into like rating albums when, to me, music is so individual. There's something about music that I may love. It could be the smallest thing of this song that you don't even hear, that you don't even, that song is whack as hell. And so, you know what I mean? I have to respect that. I love what I love, you love what you love, and the other 8 billion people should love what they love. So, you know, yeah, there was, you know, you could say that making albums is an art form and shit, hell yeah, there's definitely a difference from a dope-ass album to a whack album, of course. But, you know, I would just recommend that everybody listen to music and determine on your own and just don't listen to somebody, whether they get stars or mics or whatever they get. Be able to uphold these things that God gave you that make you individual. Because if you don't, you're just going to be like everybody else, a fucking robot, you know.
What was the formula you guys used to determine the 5 mics or determine the mics?
You know, the source was kind of split in 2 sections. You had the journalists and then you had the business. The business handled all the monies, the advertising. The journalists handled all the creative, the art directors, the writers, photographers. So that side of the office would all get together. The labels would send the albums ahead of time. Then they would individually sit and rate the album with different criteria, you know. And they used to take those meetings serious, you know what I'm saying? The meetings, like, they be in there going at it, you know what I mean? There was only a couple of times I might have kind of put my input in it, but on the most part, I would stay out of those meetings and just let them do what they do because, you know, when you have a staff, you want everybody to feel like they're involved and feel like they're contributing. And since that was such a major part of the magazine, you know, they would be contributing majorly. But I do want to say that what people don't understand is when you get in situations like that, you know, labels who send you the album, you gotta always keep in mind that labels are paying major money a year. And they always have dope artists, but even their other artists who are just coming up, they're paying for advertisement. So if you're giving their artists 2.5 or 3 mics, sometimes they get mad at 3 or 2 mics, that could affect advertisement. So I just always want to put that in people's ears when they think about the integrity of the system. You know what I mean? You know, you got to understand that the people who are sending the albums, they are paying for advertisement. So if you're giving their artists a real unreasonable rating that they think, then you're going to have problems when it comes to the money. Just want to put that out there. A lot of people don't realize that.
Did that make it hard to
Yes. Yes, there was problems, you know. Dave would always come to me like, man, and you know, so sometimes if something was 2.5, we'd have to bump it to 3. 3 was like a safe. It's safe. Like, if your shit wasn't all that great, you know, we'll throw it to 3 just so that, you know, that they're not gonna stop fucking with the advertisement. You know? I mean, but you know, that's just how it goes. You can't, you know. Shit, imagine, how would you feel, Kim, if you paying hundreds of thousands a year in advertisement and your artist is getting 2.5 mics?
Shit, I'm gonna feel like, man, maybe I need to get another artist, man.
Either that, or like, I'm not gonna be advertising for him.
Or that, yeah.
You know, at one point, we was getting like $1 million a month in advertisement.
Damn.
Sometimes over, yeah. Yeah.
Well, another column you guys had was Unsigned Hype.
The biggest column ever. Shout out to Matty C, who really was the creator of the column and really pushed it. Biggie, Mobb Deep, Capone, Noriega, Common. You know, a lot of great artists came from the Unsigned Hype. Even Eminem. You know, even Eminem was in the Unsigned Hype. So a lot of great artists came through the Unsigned Hype. It was the funny thing was, it was a small part of the magazine. It wasn't really even a full page. And to see the type of artists that came out and the success they had, it was like, wow, it just made us feel good that we had our ear to the street. You know, that was a column. We, you know what I'm saying, the ear to the street. And then later on, we did Word on the Street, but 16 bars, you know what I'm saying? Like, we would come up with a lot of, you know, quote of the week, eye candy. I mean, we came up with a lot of stuff that all the magazines ends up biting anyway, so.
Is there anybody you guys passed up on for the Unsigned Hype that you look back on?
Yeah, of course. A lot of people that I'm sure. But like I said, you know, Matty took care of that. Matty C, the great Matty C. Shout out to Matty C. I haven't heard from him in years, but Matty was responsible for that. But of course, because artists are sending music all the time, you're not going to be able to, you're not going to hit it on. But the big ones, most of them, we got right.
Another thing you guys were really huge for is the Source Awards. You know, how did all that start?
I mean, I had a major part to do with that. I think, and believe it or not, the Grammys just wasn't giving hip-hop its just due, being disrespectful as far as this genre of music that's making a lot of money and, you know, and really becoming, back then it was on its way to become the #1 genre. Now it is. But, you know, because the Grammy wasn't showing no respect with their awards, we felt like it was time that we, you know what I'm saying, gave the people their just due and have our own awards for our own culture, because the Grammys culture isn't our culture. The people that work at the Grammys, the governor, board, and all, they're not us. They're nowhere near us. They only fuck with hip-hop now is because of the money and because of how far hip-hop came and how it crossed over. But if we give it to them, they would never be fucking with, you know, black guys with dreads and braids and tattoos and no, hell no.
The Source Awards, it had quite a few big moments. Were you there when 6ix9ine gave his, you know, infamous speech?
I executive produced every Source Award and was there every step of the way, behind the scenes, making everything and putting out fires everywhere. See, I was the fire extinguisher. I was the fireman. You know, because you got to understand, the Source Awards, you're allowing these guys to come from the street and they're coming with 30, 40, 50 of their guys, not just Sugar and them, everybody. Everybody that comes is bringing their whole crew from the block. It's the Source Awards. So we got to try to accommodate everybody without pissing anybody off. And, you know, the Source was just a bunch of college kids. I was the streets. So I'd have to be the in-between in a lot of this to kind of make shit happen, you know, without shit going down. But I was right there when Suge did what he did, you know what I'm saying? And it was very tense. Thought it was going down. But I always say this, Snoop Dogg, you know, Snoop Dogg kind of saved the day. I think what Snoop Dogg said kind of diffused it on both sides. And, you know, we're just happy that no one got hurt, you know what I'm saying? And we got through it. A very legendary Source Awards. Because you gotta understand, that Source Awards is where Death Row performed with everybody at the same, everyone, all of them. Dog Pound, Quick, Snoop, everybody. You know, Rage, everybody at one place. Got to see everyone. That's rare. Same thing with Bad Boy. Everybody. Big, Total, 112, C's, the Junior Mob. I mean, everybody from both of the biggest, you know, at that time, labels came to perform. And that, to me, why it'll always be legendary. Because I was a fan of both. So I got to see everybody up front close.
I saw you talk about Tupac grabbing the mic from Q-Tip.
Yeah, I was right there.
Performance.
Right there.
Can you tell the story behind that?
We did the Source Awards. Pac had got out. You remember he was out on bail, came through with all the outlaws. Maybe 1 or 2 were missing. Sent niggas over to the sound man that we didn't know at the time, you know what I'm saying, to kind of like, you know, snatch him up, put their tape in, and he grabbed, Q-Tip was accepting his award, he just snatched the mic from him. I don't know if that had anything to do with the Janet Jackson situation too. You know, I'm just now thinking about that. But he snatched the mic from him and did Out on Bail, and it was dope. The performance was dope. I ain't even gonna lie, like for that shit just to be, like they didn't plan that. It wasn't planned, he just grabbed it. I mean, everything sounded amazing. And he killed that shit, and it was a dope moment in the history of the Source Awards. Q-Tip and them was a little upset when they came by. God rest the dead, Chris Lighty. It was Tip and the other two. God rest, man, who's the one that just passed away, man? The other one, the rapper, man. Not Ali Shah Muhammad, but, oh man, come on. Legendary, man. His partner, man, that rapped with him, that was in the group with him. Fife.
Oh,
it was yeah. Fife, Ali Shah, and it was Chris Lighty, and they was all mad and pissed off, and you know what I'm saying, somebody was crying, and it just was crazy. It was a hell of a moment in hip-hop, though.
Do you have any other favorite moments or big moments that stand out to you?
You know what, there was just so many of them, but just the fact that I got to see all the groups perform and together before, it seemed like every single group that ever got together all disbanded later on, or something happened, or a member got killed, or they're not, all the groups, because I did these, I actually edited the Best of the Source Award DVDs myself and hosted them. And I just got to see all the early hip-hop guys together, and that was just dope to me, seeing them together, you know what I'm saying? And everybody splits up later on, but seeing them together was pretty dope. It was too many. There's a lot of stories. I mean, I got stories that'll blow your fucking mind about the Source Awards, good, bad, and ugly, you know, but.
Can you give me one?
I don't want to give no names, but I remember on the outside of the LA Source Awards, this Crip dude, famous dude, you know, famous stick-up kid was just robbing everybody, and there was a certain basketball player that got his shit taken. And I remember I seen him, man, and he was just so pissed off and disgusted about it. And I just say that because it was like, it was so much happening in the LA one, you know what I'm saying? I remember with E40 and them, I was like right there when they stomped out. I think his name was Mac Mall or Mac something, stomped him out to death, him and his brother. He was a bloody pulp mess. I mean, face all up, all swelled up. That was a crazy moment, but
damn,
Mike Elliott grabbing the tape before we give it to UPN 33 and running with the tape like Kanye did with his shit when they did him on Punk'd. Mike Elliott, the one that ended up, he used to work for the Source, he ended up doing Love and Basketball, shout out to Mike, but Mike was producing it with us and he ended up grabbing the final version and running, and we're chasing him and we're trying to chase him down. That was crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like a discrepancy of something, and Dave was like, yo, Mike's not giving us the tape, and we had like an hour to give it to UPN 33, and you know what I'm saying, Mike was running, I'm chasing after Mike. When he jumped in the car, I jumped in the cab chasing him. I got the strap on me, police were involved. That was kind of crazy. But we ended up getting the final tape to him, and yeah, we ended up working it out with Mike, and yeah, the final edit got showed, so. It was a lot of shit, man. You know, we did 3 awards down in Miami Beach, and I remember Art Till was the guy. He was trying to kind of like fuck off Miami's money by siphoning like $300,000 of funds and giving it to us to do the Source Awards. And he ended up, you know, I remember he grabbed a private plane from funds and flew us down to the Bahamas and partying with him. This is an older guy, and he got a little slim chick with him. His wife is back in. He's the main guy of Miami. And he ended up killing himself because they said that he was fucking with a transvestite and shit. He ended up blowing his fucking head off because the transvestite kind of exposed him and shit, you know what I'm saying? Said they had a relationship. You know, and he had a wife. I mean, he was like up there in the Miami situation, like as far as like possibly could have been the black mayor. But we was doing business with him. We found out later that he was doing, you know, grabbing money from here and there. He was in the 70s, but man, he would partying his ass off. I'll never forget that.
Damn. I want to go back to the E40 thing. Can you talk about the E40 thing a little bit?
I just remember I was back there, because they was kind of like in the back, and that fight broke out. And I just remember 40, and you know, and they was duffing up somebody, and they beat the shit out of somebody. That was really it. Wasn't nothing major.
And this was backstage at the Source
No, it wasn't
Awards?
even backstage. It was in the crowd, like up more, like not in the front, but in the back, or the seats in the back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I literally was right there, like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to like kind of like, I think I was trying to pull somebody off, but you know, we had the Nation of Islam. It got broke up or whatever, but dude took a bad one though. I mean, everybody was right there when it happened. It was like hundreds and thousands of people just watching it. So.
How often did a fight break out at the Source Awards?
Not too many at all. I'm be honest. Not at the awards. On the outside, can't really say. All kind of shit would happen on the outside. You can believe that. I mean, like I said, the LA one, niggas was getting robbed left and right. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say no names, but you know, yeah, there was a lot of robberies on the LA one. Niggas was getting their shit taken a lot outside the awards that year. A couple of basketball players that you know very well. You know, but I would never, you know, embarrass somebody and talk about that. But it just was a lot of that going on. I remember Bernie Mac was the very first Source Awards host. The lights were going off and everything. This was like in 93, 92, maybe 91. Bernie Mac was the first host, the very first host of the Source Awards. God rest Bernie.
Rest in peace, Bernie Mac.
Hell yeah.
Well, that seems like a good place to end it, man.
Man, listen, Cam, man. Look, I've been watching your interviews, man, especially the Chicago ones, man. You're dope, man. So you just keep doing your thing, man. And call me back anytime.
Thank you, bro.
All right, brother.
For sure, man.
Love.
Appreciate you.
Yep.
What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon. So hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.